Yo, what up? What up? It's Chris. Oh, from Brooklyn Wildlife. Up here at the land. That's the sawmill behind us with the tarp on top. That's a whole lot of right here. We have to mill all that wood. This is just some of it, some of the tools of the trade. But when I'm not up here in central New York, dealing with lumber, building decks, setting up the garden, I throw shows. And I've been throwing shows for a long time. I started rapping in 95 or something like that, 94. Started taking rap seriously. Like, I was just really a fan when I first started rapping. I didn't take it seriously at all. And I was rapping with Jay Cooper, Jay Been Early. I think it was called Black Star Trinity. This was before Talib Kweli and Mos Def. Uninfluenced by that, unrelated. And when I got to college, linked up with the homie Nick, who ended up making beats for a lot of people, but he was in Purple Ribbon All-Stars, produced with Nasilo. Beat Bullies was the name of the production team. I produced with Killer Mike, a couple other people. But when I first met him, we were freshmen at Morehouse, and that's when I started taking music, more seriously. Me and the homie Aaron had a group, Project Lumens, and things went from there. I think we threw our first show at a club around 2000, 2001, and we had thrown house parties and stuff like that before we did events in college. But after college, I started taking events more seriously, touring, performing. And when I moved to New York in 2008 or so, I ran into so many amazing musicians living in the McKibben lofts. There were so many talented people that I was around and performing with that were outside the world of hip hop that I had been in and was still very much a part of at the time. And so when we started Brooklyn Wildlife Summer Festival in 2012 or 2013, I think it was 2013 was the first one. The idea was to merge and converge these worlds that I loved, being hip hop and the traditions of black music that include blues and jazz and black rock and soul, neo soul, even, gospel and old Negro spiritual vibes. Like, I want rock and soul, neo soul, even, gospel and old Negro spiritual vibes. Like, I wanted all that in the I meant to say classical music, the violinists, the modular synth stuff, the burlesque performers, the filmmakers. Like, basically, I had met all these different creative people that were really DIY oriented, indie oriented, but the hip hop folks were at this venue, the metal and punk folks were at these venues, the psychedelic rock folks were at this venue, the folk, this venue, classical musicians, where do they get to play in public, like their own material. The filmmakers and the film world was overlapping with music, but still had its own separate thing. The visual art world, if you go to galleries, they almost never did live music in galleries. If you try to bring in DJs to the gallery, they're like, no, someone's going to bump up on the art and break something. As if, anyway. And when you did live music shows, how frequently did you have visual art being presented simultaneously? And I was meeting people that did projection mapping that was synced to the music. I was meeting people that included visuals in their musical performances. And I wanted to put together a festival that had all of that. It was also inspired by the fact that me and my homie Keith were doing events at a place called Paper Box. And one of the shows, I had booked like 20-something people. And Keith didn't pay attention when I was booking the show. He did a lot more of the administrative stuff and was really good at sending out the email blast, managing inventory, and doing our online sales and like merchandise sales. And he DJ'd. He was like the centerpiece of when we did shows. Every time we had a show, I knew we had a DJ, and DJ's the base of the show. But he didn't necessarily pay attention when I was booking or organizing the shows. Day of, he'd help out and help manage, stage manage, what have you. And so he looks up and he's like, hold on, you got 20-something people on this set list. And I'm like, yeah, it's 23 performers. And he's like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I'm like, this is going to be dope. Like, we have a big space, multiple stages. Let's rock out, And he's like, this is going to be impossible to manage. It's going to be a headache. And I'm like, look, dog, like, what is the problem? We do the shit other people are unwilling to do. And he like kind of flips out. And he's like, yo, if you do something like this, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw a show with 50 performers. And you're going to rock it with me. And that also inspired the summer festival. So the first year we did it, it was over 50 performers at Paperbox, 3 stages, 2 indoor, 1 outdoor. And it was a mix of everything. I mean, Buckshot from Duck Down Records performed, Black Moon, Charlie and Margot, Rebelmatic, Yohimbe, and damn, I'm picturing the homie right now. Meridian Lights was the name of the group. Brad Valentine. Dope. I mean, it was, and then tons of other rappers, singers, dancers. I mean, people from Australia, all types of people from all over the world doing dope art and music. And that's what inspired the festival in the first place. It was being in Brooklyn. It was being an artist, musician that was inspired by other creatives. And this year, we're doing 2025, and people are like, yo, I ain't really seen a whole lot of promotion. Well, what's the point for me to like start on the internet 3 months out when algorithms bury things like that? So y'all got 3 weeks to get ready. All right. The first set of shows is going to be in Brooklyn, first weekend of September. So the 5th through the 7th. 3 shows. Then Sunday will be at Rhizome in DC on the 7th of September. Following weekend, the 13th, we're at the House of Music Traditions in Tacoma Park, DC. And the 14th, there's a secret show in DC. So this year, we've expanded while contracting. Because at a certain point, the festival in Brooklyn got up to 150 live performers, 10 days, like I literally do Friday through Sunday of the following weekend. And I mean, so many shows, so many performers. And it was necessary at the time to rock like that because there were so many people that we were working with. We had an art space. We had a venue where we could host 3 or 4 of the shows. I had a connection to people in New York and different venues to where it was economically viable. Well, when pandemic hit, or actually when I had cancer, that year was tough because I was in the hospital July and then recovering August. And then we had to throw the show in September. Like, I got my toe amputated in July and the shows were September, and we still did 10 days of shows. And it was dope. So it was like, all right, good. We're going to keep rocking it. Then pandemic hits. So the following year, we had to do all of the shows online. And we did a really awesome job of working with other festival planners so that we actually did a series of online shows for almost the entire month of September. Working with Kerry Blue, he did a week or 2. I did a week and a half. And then we had a couple other folks get involved. So it was like 3.5 weeks of online performances that replaced the festival the year of pandemic. I guess that was 2020. Yeah. Then 2021, we're able to do it, smaller version. Still had over 150 live acts. And at that point, though, Melissa and I bought property out here in central New York. And my mom's health started declining and things were going on where I wasn't in Brooklyn as much. And so over the subsequent years, I've started getting more interested in not how big can the festival be, because in our reality, we were throwing, and I say we because I worked with the homie Lex to organize administratively. Melissa from the early days has been down. Grant, Zach from Stay on Mars. A lot of people have helped facilitate. Nissa with the Living Gallery, Laura with Rack Shack, 456, shout out to Paul. Every year, different venues stepped up that we could rely on. The Pete's Candy Store, every year, rocked out. But I started thinking, like, as New York's changing, as the artist wave is changing, as the algorithms hit differently and the internet occupies a lot of people's time. As the artist wave is changing, as the algorithms hit differently and the internet occupies a lot of people's time. There used to be platforms for conversation about shows. Like, there were multiple. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people want to act like it just didn't happen, like it was a goddamn blip from Avengers or some shit. But it did happen, and society did not recover properly in the terms of re-fomenting those social bonds and threads. Before pandemic, we would pack 80 people in a 3 or 4 bedroom apartment. You know, like 80 people not supposed to fit in that apartment, and we'd pack it in. And people would be shoulder to shoulder, hot, sweaty, sweat dripping on each other, stinking, funky, and we'd rock out shows. Following pandemic, I don't want to be in a room with 70, 80 people that close to me. And I'm more open to engaging with people than a lot of people I'm around. Folks don't want to leave their house in the same way. The way money is spent and how people are directing their time and effort has changed. I didn't want to then have to change what I do. I didn't want to have to say, let me do some corny shit with a corny venue in order to keep this festival going. Our festival is the longest running independent arts and music festival in Brooklyn. Now, you'd be like, that can't be true, because there are all these arts councils. They're not independent. They rely on funding. Our festival is totally funded internally by me or my partners in doing the festival. So that means there's no one who can say who's allowed to perform or not except me. From the first festival, I looked at every single performer's material, so I know you're going to get dopeness. I know you're not going to get people disrespecting women. I know you're not going to get people with the anti-queer sentiments. I know you're not going to get the violence in the black community celebration. I know that we are going to bring together artists of different backgrounds and put them on multi-genre shows and do not fusion events, but where the hip hop is respected, the folk is respected, the burlesque is respected, the filmmaker's work gets respected, and we get to share that creative energy. So in the way I focus, I can't be affected by changes in the government. Like, by doing our festival independent the way we have, when the mayor changes, our funding doesn't get changed. When the not-for-profits or foundations that support art are affected by changes, our funding is not affected. Nothing that happens other than our love of art and music affects how the festival happens. So that's allowed us to go longer than CMJ. That's allowed us to go longer than Northside Festival. That's allowed us to go longer than tons of other larger events. You know, like how you have a thing like Afropunk, which still goes, but it's too expensive for punk kids to go to it. We saw that and we're like, you can't do that. That's corny. And I know the folks that started Afropunk. I'm so glad they were in existence. I was inspired. I'll be direct that what we do is heavily inspired by Afropunk, early House of Yes, the parties like Unicorn Smack, and by Afropunk, early House of Yes, the parties like Unicorn Smack, and all those type of things.
Hey.
What's up? I sent you a note.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm on my way out.
Okay.
But you're welcome to. I have a dentist appointment. So
Okay.
I have to brush my teeth and boogie.
Okay, cool.
So,
I'll finish my little video. It's no problem. But where, for me, it's too expensive. And the attachment to the finance bros and the tech bros and the people that will spend the alarmingly high amounts of money some of those parties cost, not the vibe I want to be a part of anymore. And so our festival has been able to remain where you can get $5 tickets to the shows, where you can see, hang out, kick it with the artists before and after their sets, where people are totally available, where if you are an artist, you're going to meet people that you'll collaborate with, that you may tour with. And that's been the illest part, is seeing the people who meet at these festivals who then will tour with each other later, whether it's in the Northeast, whether it's the West Coast, down South. And when I think of the artists that were involved, it's been awesome to see the growth and know that from how we started, where different people took it. Rome Streets performed one of the years. Homeboy Sandman performed a couple years ago. Like I said, Buckshot from Black Moon performed. Charlie and Margot performed. Sorry. And there are tons of other people that y'all ended up hearing about outside of our work. You know, Dead Tooth, the homie Jamal from No Surrender. We've had a lot of talent come through the doors. So we're going to continue that. And this year we're going to focus that energy. And instead of doing 10 shows over a week and a half, we're going to do 6 shows. But 3 in DC, 3 in New York. So now we're expanding while contracting. And one of the goals is in the next year or two to do the festival in multiple locations around the country at different times of year. So we'll do New York certain time of year, DC certain time of year, Miami certain time of year, and then I'm thinking about a spot out in Missouri. We got to keep that on and then we'll go from there because we got homies everywhere. So I'm gonna check in with y'all. It's time for me to do some admin work. Enjoy your day. How's it going?